A brand new bill just passed the House promising no taxes on Social Security. But here's the shocking truth. They don't want you to know about who actually benefits from this legislation. In the next few minutes, I'm going to break down exactly what this bill really does, who gets the biggest tax breaks, and why millions of Americans might actually lose benefits while the wealthy get richer. This isn't what politicians are telling you, and by the end of this video, you'll understand the real impact on your wallet. Welcome to Financial Area, where we cut through the political noise to give you the financial facts that matter. If you want to stay informed about legislation that affects your money, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more honest breakdowns of financial news. Let's start with what this bill actually contains, because the headlines are misleading. While politicians are celebrating this as a victory for Social Security recipients, the reality is far different. This legislation is primarily focused on renewing the Trump tax cuts from 2017 that were set to expire. These aren't new tax cuts. They're extensions of existing ones that predominantly benefited wealthy Americans the first time around. The bill also raises the standard deduction by $2,000, which sounds great until you dig into the numbers. Here's what they're not telling you. When you increase the standard deduction, the people who benefit most are those in higher tax brackets. A wealthy individual saving thousands of dollars from this change, while a middle-class family might save a few hundred at best. But wait, there's more. The bill includes some temporary provisions that are designed to grab headlines. There's a temporary exclusion from taxes on overtime pay, which sounds fantastic for working families. There's also a deduction for auto loan interest, but only if you buy an American-made car. Notice the word temporary here. These benefits for regular working Americans have expiration dates, while the tax cuts for the wealthy are permanent extensions. This is a classic political move. Give the middle class some temporary crumbs while serving the wealthy a permanent feast, then market it as helping everyone equally. The math simply doesn't support the narrative they're pushing. Now let's talk about the Social Security promise that got everyone's attention. Politicians have been promising to eliminate taxes on Social Security benefits, and this bill does include a provision related to that promise. But here's where things get really interesting, and not in a good way. The bill introduces a $4,000 standard deduction for individuals who are 65 and older. On the surface, this sounds like it could help Social Security recipients avoid paying taxes on their benefits. But there's a massive catch that most people are missing. This deduction only applies to people 65 and older. If you're currently receiving Social Security benefits and you're between 62 and 64 years old, you get absolutely nothing from this provision. Think about that for a moment. Millions of current Social Security beneficiaries are completely excluded from this supposed benefit. But even for those 65 and older, this $4,000 deduction doesn't come close to eliminating Social Security taxes for most people. If you're a single filer with Social Security income above $34,000 or a married couple above $44,000, you're still going to pay taxes on a significant portion of your Social Security benefits. The $4,000 deduction helps, but it's nowhere near the complete elimination of Social Security taxes that was promised. Let's do some quick math here. If you're receiving the average Social Security benefit of about $1,900 per month, that's almost $23,000 per year. Add in any other retirement income, pension, or part-time work, and you're likely still going to be paying taxes on your Social Security benefits even with this new deduction. The politicians are counting on people not doing this math. They're hoping you'll hear Social Security tax relief and assume your taxes are going away completely. But for the vast majority of Social Security recipients, that's simply not what's happening here. This is where the story takes a much darker turn, because while the wealthy are getting permanent tax cuts and some seniors are getting a modest deduction, millions of lower-income Americans are about to lose critical benefits that they depend on for survival. The same bill that's being celebrated for helping Social Security recipients includes massive cuts to Medicaid and SNAP benefits. We're talking about reductions that could cause millions of people to lose their health care coverage and food assistance. These aren't minor adjustments. These are significant cuts that will have real consequences for real families. Here's the cruel irony. While wealthy Americans get to keep more of their money through permanent tax cuts, the most vulnerable Americans are losing the safety net programs that keep them housed, fed, and healthy. A billionaire gets to save millions in taxes, while a family of four might lose their health insurance and food stamps. But here's where the political calculation gets really cynical. The most severe Medicaid cuts aren't scheduled to take effect until after the 2026 elections. This isn't an accident. It's a deliberate strategy to avoid the political backlash that would come from millions of people losing their health care right before politicians face voters. They're betting that voters will remember the tax cut headlines from today, but won't connect the dots when their Medicaid coverage disappears in 2 years. It's a political shell game designed to maximize the positive headlines now, while delaying the negative consequences until after the next election cycle. Think about what this means for different groups of Americans. If you're wealthy, you're getting permanent tax cuts that will save you significant money every year. If you're a senior over 65 with moderate income, you might get a small tax break. If you're a working family struggling to make ends meet, you might get temporary overtime tax relief while losing access to health care and nutrition assistance. This isn't tax reform, it's wealth redistribution in reverse. Money is flowing from programs that help the poor and middle class to tax cuts that primarily benefit the wealthy. And the timing is designed to hide this reality from voters until it's too late to change course. The long-term implications of this are staggering. We're talking about a fundamental shift in how America supports its most vulnerable citizens while simultaneously making it easier for the wealthy to accumulate even more wealth. The gap between rich and poor isn't just going to continue growing, it's going to accelerate. Here's what you need to understand about this legislation. It's not about helping Social Security recipients, despite what the headlines say. It's about extending tax cuts for the wealthy while throwing just enough crumbs to seniors and working families to provide political cover. Meanwhile, the programs that actually help struggling Americans are being quietly dismantled. The Social Security tax promise was never realistic as written, and the actual provisions in this bill prove that. A $4,000 deduction for some seniors isn't the same as eliminating Social Security taxes, but that's not stopping politicians from claiming victory on a promise they haven't actually kept. If you found this breakdown helpful and want to stay informed about how legislation really affects your finances, make sure to subscribe to Financial Area and hit that notification bell. We'll continue following this story and others like it, because understanding the real impact of these policies is crucial for making informed decisions about your financial future. What do you think about this legislation? Are you surprised by the gap between the promises and the reality? Let me know in the comments below, and remember, when politicians make big promises about your money, always look at the fine print. The devil is always in the details.